Okay, so finally we have Susanne Kricke, who is a Senior Specialist Biomedical Scientist Haematology at Great Ormond Street Hospital for Children NHS Foundation Trust, who will be giving us a lab tour showcasing the work scientists do in different parts of a haematology laboratory. Susanne, over to you.
Hi there. I'm Susie. I'm a biomedical scientist, and I've worked in Great Ormond Street for the last 5 years. And before that, I was working in St Mary's Hospital in Paddington. So basically today, I'm going to give you a lab tour of the hematology lab, which includes routine hematology, coagulation, blood transfusion, and special hematology. Just to give you a bit of background about myself, education-wise, I'm originally from Germany, but I came to England about 16 years ago, and I did my Bachelor of Science here in Biomedical Science, and then I did my Master's in Hematology. And like I said, I've been working in Great Ormond Street for 5 years now, and I really enjoy it. And you're going to meet my team in a second as well. Okay, so I'm just going to switch to, we're going to start the lab tour now, and I'm just going to switch around my camera. So I'm going to disappear for a little while, for about 5 seconds, but I can still hear you in case there's anything. Okay, so hopefully I've switched my camera now successfully. I'm just going to turn around so you can get a better view. Okay, so before we go into the hematology lab, I just wanted to show you the Camellia Botna labs. So basically, Great Ormond Street is a big hospital, and all the laboratories are consolidated in one giant building. So all the different disciplines Vicky in the previous talk was talking about are all in one building. So there's chemistry, hematology, virology, microbiology, immunology, and hematology, and histopathology. So all of the ologies are in here. And it's actually really good to have all of the disciplines in one building because it enables us to share samples, because obviously we're specialized in pediatrics, and sometimes the samples we can get from a child is very small. So it actually helps everything in one. So we're currently in the ground floor of Ormond Street Hospital, Camellia Botna Labs, and we're going to go and see the hematology lab. This is down there, but I just wanted to show you how it actually looks like. So if we move up, we've got the special hematology lab over there, and we've got immunology, and then it goes up to microbiology, and then it goes to histopathology and virology. So you can see it's like kind of by floor, it's all organized, very nicely organized. Okay, so we're going to go into hematology now. And we're going to start with routine hematology. And basically, these guys are, okay, I'm going to talk a little bit more here because it's going to be very noisy in there. So we're going to enter the lab that is rapid response. And what that means, it's the most urgent tests. So these guys are here 24/7. There will always be someone here on the weekends and on Christmas and New Year's and overnights. So these guys are here 24/7 to do the most urgent tests. So the urgent tests include basic hematology, like a full blood count, and also basic chemistry like liver and kidney function. Okay, and these guys share a lab. So here we've got chemistry, but I don't know much about chemistry, so I can't tell you lots about it, but they've got very big analyzers. They're huge. And that's where all the chemical components and metabolites are analyzed. But today I'm going to talk to you about hematology. So hematology is this part of the lab. And here we've got our scientists and MLAs. So in the lab, we have different pay grades or different members of staff, from medical laboratory assistants all the way to senior scientists, and they tend to have different backgrounds. And to be a medical laboratory assistant, you don't need a degree, and generally you don't need any experience either, but it always helps. And then once you're a biomedical scientist, yes, you do need a degree to be able to become a scientist. Okay, so this is hematology. These are our analyzers, and what they do for blood counts, which is the most used hematology test. And what a full blood count does, it tells you all the different parameters of your blood. So it tells you how many red cells you have and how much hemoglobin. It tells you how many white cells you have and which kind of the different types of white cells, how many you have, and if they're all healthy. So for example, if you have a patient with leukemia, these guys will be the first one to pick it up because it would look abnormal. And here we have Asya. Hi, how are you? What's your job title, Asya?
I'm a biomedical scientist.
Biomedical
So I
scientist.
work in clinical
Okay, so perfect. And what did you have to study to become a biomedical scientist?
So I had to study biomedical sciences. I went to university of Westminster.
Oh, I did as well.
So it's something common. And I did some experience at university. I did a project as well. And I worked in some places. I worked in clinical places as well.
Oh, perfect. They're very busy as well, aren't
Yeah,
they?
they're
Yeah.
very busy. Yeah, it's good hospitals. Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Cool. Perfect. And do you like working here?
Yeah, I actually enjoy it. I love the hematology department. So you get to do a lot of rotations. You have different duties. So
Yeah.
it's really good. I
Yes.
enjoy it.
Cool. Okay, we're gonna get a bit more the sciencey bit. I'm just gonna show you guys what it actually looks like. Where did I get it?
So,
The graph.
from student.
Yeah, the cumulative. So it shows all the white cells, so you can see. So basically, we put the blood in these analyzers over there, those ones, and then they produce loads of fancy graphs and numbers, and that's how we can tell if the blood is healthy or not. And you can see here's all the different breakdowns, and basically different white cells will show differently in these graphs, and that's how we can say if they're healthy or not. And if you have too many white cells, that's not good. So it can be a sign of infection, or it can also be a sign of cancer. So it needs to be further investigated. Cool. Bye, Asha.
Bye.
Cool. So we're just going to wander down a bit. Got more colleagues on the side. And now we're going to go into coagulation. So coagulation is incredibly important for patients with clotting diseases. So the most famous one, well, famous one in quotes, you've probably heard about is hemophilia. So hemophilia is a deficiency of some clotting factors in your blood. And what it means, people with that disease aren't able to clot. So that means when they cut themselves and injure themselves, the bleeding doesn't stop. And they just would keep bleeding and bleeding, and they bruise very easily as well. And obviously that can cause a lot of damage. So these patients need to be treated. And we just want to wander over to Clive. Hi, Clive. Clive is on the phone. So we're just going to wait a little bit, and I'm going to talk to you about coagulation myself. Um, so basically, as part of a clotting screen, we measure loads of different parameters of how fast the blood clots and how well. I think Clive is off the phone. Hi, Clive.
Yeah.
Hi. We're doing another virtual school
Right.
day, and I was wondering if you could just give the students a little introduction to coagulation and just tell them how long you've been a scientist.
All right. Okay. I've been a scientist now for 43 years, and I've got 24 days left, and then I retire.
Oh, yeah.
No, no.
So we caught him just in time.
Yeah, yeah. So a little bit about the hemostasis. We're looking at the blood's ability to clot, and we're looking particularly for children who might have a bleeding disorder, where they're lacking a protein which will make them bleed. And similarly, we look at children who have proteins lacking where it will make them have a thrombosis. So we're looking at that fine balance between the blood clotting and also causing bleeding. We monitor anticoagulants that are used to treat children who have thrombosis. So we prevent them clotting, a drug's given that prevents them clotting. And we monitor those drugs to make sure they're given the right amount to stop that thrombosis, but not give them too much that to start bleeding. So it's a fine balance between the two. Clinically, we provide the results that enable clinicians to make them treatment decisions. We monitor children who are going through operations just to make sure they've not got any abnormalities. And if they have got an abnormality, we can investigate them to see if they've got a bleeding disorder, which at that moment in time they may not know about. But we will certainly find out if they're having quite a bloody procedure done, like a spinal operation. Just to give you a real-time example, I've just come off the phone now about a child who's going to theatre this afternoon, whose coagulation test is quite abnormal, and we'll investigate that to see if they've got any deficiency. and that will enable them to assess whether that will impact on the treatment, the sequence of surgery they're having, and whether they need to give any products to support whatever difficulties they might have.
Yeah.
We perform an awful lot of work in relation to haemophilia, which is probably the most common bleeding disorder most people will have heard of, which affects boys. It's an X-linked chromosomal abnormality, and we have about 150 children with haemophilia. So we help with the diagnostic side of it, but also then monitoring their treatment through all the time they're at Great Ormond Street, so they transition into adult care to make sure that the levels of factor they're given is sufficient to maintain the level where they won't actually bleed. The children with haemophilia bleed into the joints, particularly into the knees, has a great effect on quality of life. So that's how we test and sort them kind of decisions.
Perfect. Thank you so much,
You're
Clive.
welcome.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you. Clive is always really good to speak to because he really knows his stuff. So Clive was mentioning products, that these patients need products to support them in clotting, and that's where blood transfusion comes in. I'm just going to take the time, or I'm fully aware I might be running a bit close for time with the Q&A, but I'm going to skip the special hematology upstairs, but I'm just super quickly going to go into blood transfusion so I can actually show you the blood, what it looks like, and then I can take a few questions. So that's Aaron. Hi, Aaron. And this is our blood rate. So basically, when the blood is transfused, it's not just completely transfused, but it's actually separated into its components. And this is what it looks like. And then the blood is matched to the patient. You can't just transfuse one group into another patient, but you actually have to properly cross-match. And like we all know, O negative is somewhat the universal group for all patients. But I'm so sorry that I'm running out of time. Hematology is such a diverse field. And basically, yeah, so I'm just going to switch my camera around again so you can see me. 1 second. I'm going to appear for a second again. Okay, so now I'm back.
Great. So thank you, Susie, for a fabulous lab tour, taking us into so many different parts in your department as well.
Yeah,
so,
I'm so sorry. I even had to skip level 2 because it's just too much to talk about. But that just tells you how diverse hematology is and how specialized it is in some parts.
No, that's okay, and thank you so much again. So I'm going to quickly open this time to the audience. If you have any questions, please put into the chat, and I'll read out the questions for Susie. We have a question that just came in. They've asked, how long does it take for the analysis, for the analyzers to analyze the blood?
Okay, so that depends on the test that you do. The full blood count is by far the quickest and takes about 1 minute. So by the time you put it through and then you have the result, it's about 1 minute. And then there are other tests, which we, for example, do upstairs in the special hematology, where we look at molecular level, like DNA and RNA, and then it can take up to a couple of hours or even a couple of days sometimes.
Another question just asked, do you work only in one department?
Yes, so I myself, I'm specialized in molecular hematology, so I only work in molecular hematology. But the lab tour I took you through in hematology, routine hematology, coagulation, and blood transfusion, all these colleagues, they swap around. So they, offer about every 2-3 months, they get rotated into a different section, then they will spend 2 months in transfusion, and then they come back out and spend 2 months in coagulation, and then in hematology, because it's really important that for them, if they do night shifts, that they are able to do every single bit within the lab.
Because of time, we're just going to ask one more question. So they've asked, what do you do if the blood transfer machine? So what do you do if the blood transfer machine stops working?
What do you mean the blood transfer, like the transfusion, or?
So I think the last room you took us, you showed us the blood of where it is stored. So we're storing the blood. So what happens if that's not working?
Yes, so basically we have to have a contingency plan. This is so important to store the blood products at the right temperature. So I showed you the red cells that need to be stored at 4 degrees, but then we have also frozen plasma, which needs to be frozen at all the time before it's used. And basically we have a contingency plan in place that should the fridges and freezers break, that we can move them to an alternative storage. And also we have a really sophisticated temperature monitoring system. So the temperature of the blood products is monitored all the time. And as soon as something is out of range, the products get transferred to safer storage.
Okay, because of time, we're going to have to stop there, but there's a few questions for you, so please do, if possible, type your answers into the chat. But thank you again to Susie for your time and taking us on this lab tour as well. So, great, I'm going to pass now the time back to Nick.
Thank you very much, Q. Yeah, Becky, Vicky, thank you both very much for your excellent presentations, talking about your professions. That was really interesting. And Susie, thank you for your inspired lab tour. It's a rare and unusual opportunity to see what a working lab looks like. So that was a great idea. And thanks to your colleagues for talking to us too. Q, thank you very much for hosting that last session and for fielding all of the questions. We'll be taking a short break now, and then hopefully you can all rejoin us at 10:45 when Dr. Vanessa Pirotta will be talking about the fascinating subjects of whale snot, drones and steam. Thanks very much. Bye for now.